Hello friends, welcome back to my book channel. Today we are going to be talking about my favorite books of all time. These are not 5 stars. These are my 6-star reads, and I have read a lot of books, so choosing these for this video was very, very difficult. Also, if you guys know me, I do not give out 5-star ratings very often. I have given out maybe 2 or 3 for this entire year. And so any books that have made it into this video are like my absolute top tier books, and I am on my hands and knees begging you to pick them up if you haven't already. Without further ado, let's jump into my 6-star reads. This is exciting because there are quite a few books in here that I either haven't talked about on my channel at all, or they're relatively new reads for me, so I think this is going to be fun. The first book that I want to talk about is Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. This is the final book, the 8th book in the Throne of Glass series, and I am a huge fantasy girl and fantasy lover at heart, and so when I get the opportunity to read long series with characters who I become so deeply emotionally invested in, there's just nothing better. And I feel like for the longest time I looked at this book and I was so intimidated by it because it's so long, but you spend the whole series becoming like obsessed with these characters. And so when I was actually reading this book, I was literally in the happiest state of pure joy. I loved this book so much, but also this book kind of just represents the entire Throne of Glass series. If you guys want high stakes fantasy, amazing character arcs, a character growth, character development, immaculate world building, check these out. The next book that I want to talk about is my most recent read, actually, which is kind of the book that sparked this whole video idea, and that is The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. I do not own this book. I read it on Kindle Unlimited, and this was so good. I cannot even begin to describe to you guys how deeply I connected with the writing and the characters. In this book, we're following our main character, Georgia, who has come home to South Carolina from London because her father has recently passed away. However, her family is extremely toxic. There are a lot of people who have treated her poorly. She has to deal with a lot of difficult, I don't even want to say what these things are. What I am going to say is check trigger warnings before you read this book. There are so many very delicate, very dicey topics that Jessa Hastings dives into in this book. And again, I just loved it. I loved the romance. I loved our main character. I loved the story. You have romance, there's mystery, there's fiction, but I feel like she was able to balance everything so incredibly well, which I don't think other authors can really do. I think it's really difficult to have like genre bending work that actually succeeds. Like I just loved this book so much, and it's become one of my all-time favorites. I loved it so much. If you guys have not read this book yet, you need to. Next up, we have Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. And I mean, guys, if you're looking for a romance to read now in the summertime, might I suggest Just for the Summer. This is the 3rd book in Abby Jimenez trilogy, the Part of Your World trilogy. This book is my favorite, and I do highly recommend reading them in order if possible. This book definitely hit me quite a bit harder because I had read the other 2 books leading up to this one. But in this story, we're following our 2 main characters. We have Justin and, is it Emma? Yes. We have Justin and Emma, and Justin goes viral on Reddit because he is talking about how he's cursed, and every time he dates a woman, the next person that woman dates is like their husband. And then Emma messages him. She's like, oh my God, dude, like I think we have the same curse because this keeps happening to me too. And so they kind of strike up this deal that they're like, well, we could date each other and then we'll break up, and then whoever we go off and date next will be the one. And it's a really silly little premise, but honestly, the way that Abby Jimenez was able to execute it was so good. It was so well thought out. There was a perfect balance between light and happy and sweet romantic moments, but also she creates so much depth to her characters. Like Justin and Emma are very layered. They have been through very complicated things in their lives, and it just made me love them and their romance so much, and it made their story so believable. And yeah, this is me telling you, if you haven't heard a million other people on the internet telling you already, to go pick up this book, because I love it. Next up, we have a classic because I love all genres around here. You guys know that if you know me. And that book is Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is not only one of my favorite books of all time, it's also just my favorite classic of all time. For a long time, it was The Great Gatsby. The last time I filmed this video, that was like my favorite classic ever, but it has since been dethroned by Dracula. I also read this during Halloween season, and I would absolutely 100% highly recommend doing that if you have the opportunity. This was a classic where I not only appreciated the literature and I appreciated the prose, but I was genuinely invested in the outcome. We're following our main character, Jonathan Harker, who is on a real estate venture. He's trying to make this deal with some guy named Dracula, you probably never heard of him, to sell him some property in, I always say London, but that's not it. I'm gonna put where on the screen. And Jonathan Harker goes to Transylvania to meet up with this potential business client, and he starts to realize that Dracula is not quite a normal person. And we kind of go from there. It's very eerie, it's very spooky, it's very gothic, and there's a whole cast of characters that if you've never read the story, you're probably unfamiliar with. I had no idea how many characters and different subplots there were in this book, but I loved it. I thought it was a work of art, and if you're looking for a classic to pick up, especially during the fall time, I will tell you to pick this one up every single time. Up next, we have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. This book will forever have a very special place in my heart. I absolutely loved this fictional story. We are following our two main characters whose names I always forget. I think it's Sam and Sadie, if I'm not mistaken. And we follow them as they navigate the world of fame, but in a very unique way. So Sam and Sadie met when they were young, they were kids, they've known each other their whole lives, they lose touch, and then they run into each other one day in New York City, they reconnect, and it leads them down this very interesting road that I knew nothing about, where they create a video game together, and this video game is instantly a success. People absolutely love it, and so they kind of start on this journey together where they are very well-known, very renowned video game creators, and they have a very unique relationship. It's very complicated, it's very tumultuous. At times it's very happy, and at other times it's very sad, and it's a beautiful story. Gabrielle Zevin just knows how to not only write a beautiful plot and create characters who feel so well-rounded and so thought out, but she's able to do it in a way where it all seems real. Like anytime something happened in here, it hit me so hard because literally my brain's like, how is it possible that this world and these people don't exist? Like she was just able to write in a way that's so convincing of Sam and Sadie and their stories and their unique experiences. Like I just was eating up every single page. I say this every time, but I annotated it very thoroughly. I love this book. I cannot wait to see what she writes next. Continuing in the fiction genre, we have Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. I read this book several years ago now, and it has just stayed in my heart. I love this story so much. I love the characters. If you're unfamiliar with this book, which you've probably heard of it, I feel like this book has been getting a second life. Lately, I've been seeing a ton of people pick this up at the bookstore and read it and talk about it again. But we're following our main character, Tova, who works the late night shift at her local aquarium, and she is a janitor there. And it's a difficult one to explain without maybe accidentally putting people off of it, but there's another character in here who lives in the aquarium, and that character is Marcellus the octopus. He doesn't talk. Everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's a talking octopus. I don't want to read that book. However, he cohesively thinks. And so we get a POV from Tova, the janitor at the aquarium, from Marcellus, a very cute and sweet and thoughtful little octopus. And there's another POV that comes up as well that I won't say right now. but he is maybe my favorite book character I have ever read from in my entire life. Like the way that he's able to look at humans and judge them and analyze them in a way that theoretically humans aren't able to, because he like is an octopus and he has a fresh perspective. You guys are absolutely gonna love this little guy. I love him so, so much. He's so silly. And there is a mystery that runs throughout this entire story. And you know from the very start that Marcellus has key information that kind of puts the whole mystery together. And it's the sweetest little story. Made me cry for sure. Highly recommend picking this up, especially if you're not super into fiction, but you're kind of looking for somewhere to get started. I love this book. Guys, I can't help but have a few viral books in this video. They went viral for a reason, okay? People absolutely loved them. And I will say this loud and proud, I am a huge Taylor Jenkins Reid fan. I love her. I love her books. All of her most recent releases, I have given 5 stars. And quite honestly, I change my mind on which one is my favorite every single day. I do still need to read Atmosphere. It's happening soon, and I am so deeply excited to read that book. For this video, I have decided to talk about The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, potentially one of the most viral books on the internet, but you know why? It's because Taylor Jenkins Reid set out to do something, and you know what? She did it. She accomplished it in this book. We are following a very famous, very elusive Hollywood celebrity, and she's kind of reached this point in her life where she's ready to tell the world about why she disappeared and what her life was like as a famous celebrity, but she picks someone to do her interview that isn't particularly well known or isn't particularly famous. And you're like, I wonder why they're working together. And so there's different pieces of Evelyn Hugo's life, the celebrity, that you as the reader are trying to put together and trying to understand. But there's also this element between Evelyn Hugo and Monique, her interviewer, that you're trying to put together too. You're like, why is she choosing this person to interview her? Like, what's the deal there? And so there's different things that you're trying to understand as you go throughout this book. And the way that it was done, the execution, the story, the setting, I loved this book. But again, this is kind of a stand-in for all of Taylor Jenkins Reid's most recent releases because I couldn't possibly choose a favorite. It quite literally changes every single day. There are a few authors who have made it onto this list, not once but twice, and Jessa Hastings is one of those authors. I read The Great Undoing by Jessa Hastings this year. This is the 4th book in the Magnolia Park series, and I loved this. I honestly, holding this in my hands right now, I'm getting a deep desire to reread it, even though I did read it only a few months ago. And that's how you really know. Since this is the 4th book in a series, I'm not going to get fully into it, but in this world, you're following a whole bunch of very wealthy socialites who live in London. They're all in their 20s, and they all have very complicated lives. You'd think money might solve all their problems, but no, in fact, it actually creates a lot of problems. Who would have thought? And you have 2 different books in this series. There's books that, you know, follow Magnolia and BJ and a romance between those 2 characters. And then we also have books following Daisy and her romance that she has. And we also get a POV from her brother, Julian, who also becomes a huge part of this world and story. But what's unique about Daisy is her brother is like a gang lord, and that really impacts her and her goals and how she sees herself and where she fits in the world. It impacts her romantic relationships quite a lot because she kind of has a target on her back. And so I just love the way that Jessa was able to, again, write beautiful, complex characters who have so much more to them. I feel like a lot of authors don't quite get it right. It's like you have a character and they have one main issue, but these people, they just have so many different facets to them. And I love this world. I really do. I cannot wait to read the 5th book in this series. I've just been on my physical TBR journey, which is I don't buy books until I quite literally finish my physical TBR. Be sure to follow and subscribe. I literally have 3 books left on my physical TBR right now, which is insane. We're so close to the end. And then I am gonna go so crazy at the bookstore, you guys have no idea. The next book that I wanna talk about in this video is Happy Place by Emily Henry. And this is not only a 6-star read, it not only deserves a rightful spot in this video, but this book is my favorite book of all time. Out of all of the books that I've talked about and the books that I'm going to talk about today, this is by a mile my absolute favorite one. I love it so much. In the story, we are following Harriet and Wynne and their romance. They fell in love in college, but we are following them several years later where they've broken up. They've been broken up for like 6 months, but they haven't had the courage to tell their friends that they broke up. And every single year, their group of college friends, they go to this house in Maine and spend like a week of the summer together. And for reasons that I won't say, Harriet and Wynne find a need to fake. I guess the trope is fake dating, but they were engaged when they broke up, so they're fake engaged to all their friends. Again, it sounds kind of silly now, but it's critical to the plot when you do read this book. And the friendships in here are almost equally as important as the romance in this book. When you struggle in a relationship, you go to your friends, and when you struggle in a friendship, you go to your relationship. And it was just a beautiful story. It makes me cry every single time. Do not be fooled by happy place. Whilst I love this book and it is such a joy, it also causes so much pain. It is a very, very sad book at different times. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like it, is because they're looking for like a fun, happy, silly rom-com. And this is not that. There is a lot of sad elements to it. But I just see myself so much in Harriet, our main character. I love her. And I absolutely love Wynne too. I could talk about this book in a whole separate video, but this book is amazing. I love it. I'm not even going to talk about this because you guys already know what this is, but yeah, I'm a huge Acatar fan. Love this series, not necessarily the first book, but the whole series is kind of just like 6-star books to me. And can we just talk about, if you guys didn't know, Sarah J. Maas announced very recently on her Instagram that she finished the draft for the next book in the Acatar series. Like, guys, we're getting another one. So I'm going to have to do a reread of this series. And I'm also going to have to read Crescent City because I haven't read those ones yet. So yeah, I would love some timeline on that. I know we can't ask for too much, but I'm so excited. I love these books so much. And yeah, they're just so good. This is so viral that I'm not even going to really tell you what it's about. There are fae in here. It's a lot of romance, a lot of world building, but like in the best way. And as you make it further into the series, a lot of politics. And that was my favorite part of the whole thing, surprisingly. Loved the politics. I'm definitely going to be rereading this before the release of the next Acatar book. That's crazy. I'm so excited. Then we have The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. This book is, I mean, it's in this video, but like it's right up there with Happy Place. This book actually changed my brain chemistry when I read it for the first time. I adore Ashley Poston. I adore the way that she can write a romance and add a magical realism element and make it feel like something you've never seen before, you've never read before, you've never experienced before. And so in this book, we're following our main character, Clementine, and she is grieving the loss of her aunt. She inherits her aunt's apartment. It's a brownstone in New York City. She inherits this apartment, and her aunt had a very eccentric component to her personality, and she would always say that her apartment was magic and it would slip around in time. But of course Clementine's like, oh yeah, sure, whatever, it slips around in time. But she comes to find one day when she comes home from work, from her publishing job, there is a man in her apartment. She's like, oh my God, that's terrifying. Probably honestly my worst fear ever. She ultimately realizes that the apartment has slipped back in time 7 years, and it does so throughout the book, and it kind of does it. There's no way to plan it. It's a big surprise. You never know when it's going to move around in time, and it ultimately becomes a romance between Clementine and the man who was in her apartment. Guys, I do not enjoy time travel. Honestly, if a book has that on the back, I'm not picking it up. And I heard just enough good things about this book that I decided to pick it up, and it's the best thing I ever did. I absolutely love this book, and if you're like not really into time change, time travel, still give this a try because I really don't like it and I love this book. Love in Other Words is one of the books that made me fall in love with reading just that much more. I read this probably 2 or 3 years into my reading journey, and this was just a book that I connected so much with the writing and the storytelling and the characters that I reread this book, I think twice in the same year, and since then have read it again, either I think a third time. Definitely read it 3 times. I don't know about more than that. But in this story, we are following Elliot and Macy, who fall in love as kids. And then for reasons that we don't know, they lose touch and they meet up again. They run into each other like 10 years later. And we have this dual timeline where we're watching them fall in love as kids and we're watching them fall in love as adults. And you're kind of working towards the central point of what was the thing that broke them up, like in the first place, essentially. If you can't tell, I love a second chance romance. It's like maybe my favorite trope ever. And Macy and Elliot just have the sweetest and purest love in this book. You watch them connect over their love of books and their love of literature and love of reading, and it's just the most comforting thing to read as a reader. Like, you know, like if you're watching this video, you probably love books and you love reading and you love words, and that's how I feel. And to see like 2 characters fall in love for the same like love of something that you love, I don't think I'm making any sense right now, but it feels like a very unique experience. And I've written all over this book. I have tears all over these pages. Every time I pick this up, I'm like, when am I going to reread it again? You know, but there's so many other books that like I haven't reread that I'm like, I shouldn't prioritize this one. But like, sometimes you just can't be controlled and the heart wants what it wants. This book is so good. The next book that I have to talk about is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Sally Rooney is an author that a lot of people either really, really love or really, really hate. I will also say this now, Jessa Hastings is also an author like that. And I have learned about myself that I fall in the camp of people who absolutely love them. I've read 5 books by Jessa Hastings and 2 books by Sally Rooney. Loved both of them. This one was definitely my favorite though. We are following our 2 main characters. We have Marianne and Connell. They meet when they're in high school. And at this time, Marianne is very quiet. She's very to herself, whereas Connell is very extroverted. And they meet in a way that I'm not really going to say. I'll let you guys figure that out. But then we have a bit of a time jump where they're in university and they've kind of undergone a switch. Marianne has really found herself. She's found her friends. She's found her people. And Connell has really retreated into himself. And we look at, you know, what causes that kind of change and why they become different people and how they can be someone for each other. But, you know, it's so good, guys. But again, it's morally gray. Marianne and Connell are really frustrating. Don't expect it, butterflies and daisies and joy and happiness, because you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it in this book. This book deeply connected with me. I love it so much. Keep in mind, I read this, gave it 5 stars. I recommended it to my sister and she gave it a 1. Yeah, so it's not for everybody. It was for me. Up next, we have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. I love this book, guys. I read this sobbing my mother freaking eyes out at 2 o'clock in the morning because, well, it just affected me that deeply, but also I couldn't put the book down. Like, I'm the type of person who goes to bed at 9 o'clock at night. But when I read this book, I did not put it down until 2 o'clock in the morning and then couldn't sleep because I was actually sobbing my freaking eyes out because it was so good. I also really, really love Greek mythology and retellings, and this is a retelling of Achilles and Patroclus and their friendship, their connection to each other, and it is the most heartwarming and heart-wrenching story you've ever read. I love Madeline Miller's writing style. Also, it's very poetic, and I just love the way that she can string sentences together and like weave her words. It's just gorgeous. And if you want something that will both heal you and also break you into a million little pieces, pick this up. And finally, the last book on this list, which is crazy, guys. These are like literally my top tier books, and we've made it to our final one, is Ready Player One by Ernest Cline. I definitely enjoy sci-fi books, but this one is by a mile my absolute favorite. In this book, it takes place in 2044. We're in the future and we're following our main character who, weird that I can remember the date, but I cannot remember our main character's name. We're following him in a world where people are very plugged in. You can kind of live your entire life electronically in this online world called the Oasis. You go to school there, you get jobs there, you earn things there. And in essence, at the beginning of this book, the creator of the Oasis, of this electronic digital world, he passes away and he leaves these Easter eggs in the game and leaves this competition as his legacy that basically says to anyone who can figure these things out, you win my entire earnings, like all of the money I have to my name. You win the Oasis, whatever. And so we're following our main character as he goes on this adventure inside of the Oasis, and he's trying to like put clues together. And it's difficult to explain. It's also been a long time since I've read this book, but it is absolutely epic. And out of all of the books I've talked about today, I feel like this one paints the clearest picture in your mind. Like, I have vivid memories of the scenes in this book, like exactly how they looked, exactly what they felt like. It just felt like art happening inside my brain. Like, it was gorgeous to read and see in my mind. I loved the characters. I loved how creative it was. Absolutely loved this book. You guys need to read it. All right, besties, those were all of my 6-star reads. We talked about 15 books today, and trust me, it was so hard to go through every single book I've read and given 5 stars and then had to choose these ones. But again, these are my top tier absolute favorite books. I'm honestly itching to reread a whole lot of them because they are so good. Please let me know what your guys' top tier 5 6-star reads are. I would absolutely love to know. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you guys are here for future videos. And I think that's it from me. I hope you guys are having a great day and a great reading month, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!